After 50, your legs start to lose strength every year, even if you walk every day and stay active. And here comes what almost no one tells you: walking does not stop that loss, it only disguises it. The problem progresses silently, without pain and without warning, until one day you notice that climbing stairs takes more effort, getting up from a chair is no longer automatic, or your balance starts to fail. It's not your fault, it's not a lack of discipline, and it's not fixed by walking more. Today I'm going to show you what is really failing in your legs after 50 and the simple and safe exercises that do help restore strength, stability, and confidence when moving. Walking is one of the most repeated recommendations to stay active, and it makes sense. It improves circulation, helps the heart, controls blood sugar, and maintains a certain basic mobility. The problem is that walking is not a strength stimulus, and muscle is not maintained by good intentions, but by clear signals. From muscle physiology, it is known that muscles only preserve their size and strength when they receive sufficient tension, what is called mechanical overload. Walking, even at a good pace, generates a very low and repetitive load, which the body learns to tolerate without needing to adapt. That is why many people walk every day for years and still lose muscle mass, strength, and stability. Science is clear: starting between 40 and 50 years of age, a natural process called sarcopenia begins, a progressive loss of muscle that accelerates if there is no strength training. Walking does not slow this process. In fact, studies show that active people who only walk can lose leg strength at the same rate as sedentary people. And when muscle loses strength, the body compensates poorly. The joints begin to absorb loads that do not belong to them. That's when knee pain appears, the feeling of instability, the difficulty getting up from a chair or climbing stairs. It's not that walking is bad, it's that it does not fulfill the function that many believe it does. After 45 or 50 years of age, this problem is aggravated by something that is almost never mentioned: how we have lived the last decades. Years of sitting reduce blood flow to the hips, shorten the hip flexors, and shut down the glutes, which are one of the most important muscles for protecting the knees and the back. When the glutes do not activate well, the hamstrings become stiff, the quadriceps lose real strength, and the knee gets trapped in the middle, receiving forces it was not designed to withstand on its own. That is why knee pain is rarely an isolated knee problem. It is almost always a problem of strength, activation, and coordination throughout the entire leg. This is where correct training comes in. Muscle needs three things to stay young and strong: sufficient resistance, controlled tension, and conscious activation. This does not mean lifting heavy weights or doing dangerous exercises. It means sending the body a clear signal of, this muscle is necessary. Scientific evidence shows that even simple exercises, well executed and with the proper stimulus, can improve strength, stability, and function in older adults in just a few weeks. That is exactly what the exercises that follow do. They reactivate dormant muscles, redistribute loads, and restore the leg's natural function, something that walking by itself cannot achieve. Exercise 1. Bulgarian squat. From 50 onward, the body stops failing as a whole and starts failing by sides. One leg becomes weaker than the other, one side loses stability first, and that imbalance is one of the biggest triggers of pain, insecurity when walking, and falls. This is where unilateral work stops being optional and becomes strategic. The Bulgarian squat, properly adapted, is one of the most effective exercises for correcting these asymmetries because it forces each leg to take responsibility for its function. From a scientific standpoint, unilateral training improves neuromuscular activation, proprioception, and joint stability more than many traditional bilateral exercises. Studies in older adults show that working one leg at a time improves dynamic balance and functional capacity, getting up, climbing steps, walking safely, to a greater extent than training both legs together. In addition, by reducing the total load required, a strong stimulus is achieved with less joint stress, which is key when the knees no longer tolerate abuse. That is why, when done well, the Bulgarian squat is not an advanced exercise, it is a tool for correction and prevention. The technical detail that changes everything, and that almost no one explains, is where you push from. If you push from the ball of the foot, the knee takes most of the load. If you consciously push from the heel, the effort is redistributed toward the hip and the glutes, which are the muscles designed to generate force and protect the joints. This is not an opinion. Muscle electromyography shows that pushing from the heel increases gluteus maximus activation and reduces anterior stress on the knee. For people with discomfort, this detail makes the difference between a therapeutic exercise and a problematic one. In addition, single leg work forces the nervous system to stabilize the pelvis and the trunk, something that is lost over the years and that is directly related to lower back pain and instability when walking. From the standpoint of muscular aging, this exercise fights two silent enemies, sarcopenia and the loss of intermuscular coordination. Research on strength training in people over 50 shows that unilateral exercises improve not only strength, but also confidence when moving, something that is not usually measured but that defines quality of life. That is why the Bulgarian squat is not about going deep or suffering. It is about control, alignment, and correct activation. Done with support if necessary, with a comfortable range and emphasis on the heel, it becomes one of the most complete exercises for rebuilding strong, stable, and functional legs after 50. Exercise 2. Lunges. Lunges are one of the most functional movements that exist, because they replicate exactly what you do every day. Take a step and support your weight on a single leg. However, over the years, this pattern degrades. The body starts to avoid the load, shortens the step, loses strength when braking, and transfers the effort to the knees or the lower back. From the science of movement, it is known that the lunge trains what is called strength in displacement, something that walking does not develop and that is critical after 50. Biomechanical studies show that during a well-executed lunge, the glutes, quadriceps, hamstrings, and trunk stabilizer muscles are activated in a coordinated way, creating a complete force chain. In addition, being a dynamic exercise, it forces the nervous system to anticipate, stabilize, and correct movement in real time, something that is lost with age and that is directly related to the risk of trips and falls. That is why lunges are not just another leg exercise. They are direct training for walking more safely, stepping up onto curbs, reacting better, and moving with confidence. The true value of lunges appears when they are done with intention and control, not as a fast or disorganized movement. From a scientific point of view, a long and controlled step increases activation of the gluteus maximus of the front leg, while the slow descent trains the eccentric phase of the quadriceps, key for protecting the knee when going downstairs or slowing the body. Research in older adults shows that this type of eccentric work improves functional strength with less joint load, which makes it especially safe and effective after 50. In addition, lunges train something that is almost never mentioned, neuromuscular confidence. By learning to absorb the body's weight on a single leg and then propel forward, the brain regains confidence in the leg's ability to support and move the body. This has a direct impact on posture, walking speed, and the overall sense of stability. Done with support if necessary, with a comfortable range and keeping the torso upright, lunges become a powerful tool to redistribute loads, reduce stress on the knees, and restore the leg's natural function. It is not about how many repetitions you do, but about relearning how to move forward with strength and control, something that defines physical independence after 50. Exercise 3. Isometric glute bridge. One of the greatest silent sabotages to the body after 45 to 50 years is not age, it is spending years sitting. When a person spends a large part of the day seated, the glutes, especially the gluteus maximus, enter a state of neuromuscular inhibition. In simple terms, the muscle is there, but the brain stops using it properly. Science calls this reciprocal inhibition, and it is widely documented in studies of biomechanics and rehabilitation. When the glutes do not activate correctly, the body looks for compensations, the lumbar area works too much, the hamstrings become overloaded, and the knees begin to absorb forces that do not belong to them. That is why many people develop chronic lower back pain or knee discomfort without having done anything wrong. The isometric glute bridge is one of the most effective exercises to break this pattern because it does not depend on movement, but on conscious activation. By lifting the hips and holding the position, you force the brain to reconnect with the muscle, sending a clear signal that this tissue is still necessary. Studies in older adults show that isometric exercises improve muscle activation and functional strength with less joint stress, making them ideal when there is pain or insecurity when moving. It is no coincidence that this exercise is used so much in rehabilitation as well as in prevention programs. The true power of the isometric glute bridge lies in how it is held, not in how many times it is repeated. Holding the position for 20, 30, or even 40 seconds, breathing normally, generates deep activation of the gluteus maximus and the pelvic stabilizer muscles. From a scientific point of view, this sustained contraction improves communication between the nervous system and the muscle, something that deteriorates with age and sedentary behavior. In addition, by stabilizing the pelvis, the bridge reduces lumbar hyperextension, which explains why many people feel relief in the lower back after practicing it consistently. Research in motor control shows that a more stable pelvis reduces the load on the knees when walking and climbing stairs, because it allows force to be distributed correctly from the hip downward. This exercise also has a direct impact on posture. By reactivating the glutes, the body stops hanging from the lower back and regains a more efficient alignment. What matters here is not forcing, nor arching the back, nor holding the breath. It is feeling the muscle work and sustaining that sensation. When done well, the isometric glute bridge does not just strengthen, it re-educates. It gives the body back a key muscle for walking, standing up, protecting the knees, and moving with confidence. Exercise 4. Heel raises. Heel raises are one of the most underestimated exercises after 50, and precisely for that reason they are so powerful when done correctly. Most people perform them incorrectly. They go up and down quickly, bounce, use momentum, and turn them into an automatic movement without real stimulus. But muscle does not respond to fast, uncontrolled movements. It responds to sustained mechanical tension. When you perform heel raises slowly, with control and with emphasis on the full range of motion, rising as high as possible and lowering deliberately until you feel the stretch, you deeply activate the calf muscles, especially the gastrocnemius and the soleus. These muscles are not only used to push when walking, they are key for ankle stability, balance, and impact absorption. Scientific evidence shows that calf weakness is directly related to a higher risk of falls in older adults, even more than thigh strength in some cases. In addition, well-executed heel raises act as a muscle pump. Each contraction helps push blood back toward the heart, improving circulation in the legs, something especially relevant after 50, when venous return tends to decrease. It is no coincidence that fall prevention programs include this exercise as a foundation. Done with intention, it is not a simple exercise. It is a direct tool for walking with greater safety. Now, the true value of this exercise appears when you understand why doing it slowly changes everything. Studies in exercise physiology have shown that time under tension, that is, how long the muscle is actively working, is one of the most important factors for stimulating strength and muscular adaptation, especially in older adults. Rising in 2 or 3 seconds, holding at the top for 1 or 2 seconds, and lowering slowly over 4 seconds sends a clear signal to the nervous system. This muscle is still necessary. In addition, by controlling the descent, you train the eccentric phase of the muscle, which is key for braking the body when walking, going downstairs, or preventing a fall. Scientifically, this eccentric phase is where the most force can be developed with less joint stress, which makes heel raises a safe and highly effective exercise for people over 50. Another critical point is balance. By performing them standing up, even lightly holding onto a wall or chair, you force the brain to coordinate ankle, knee, and hip, reinforcing the neuromuscular connections that are lost with age. This is not theory. Research in older adults shows significant improvements in stability and walking speed after just a few weeks of specific calf training. That is why this exercise is not for the calves. It is for regaining trust in your legs, reducing the risk of trips, and recovering a sense of firmness when walking. Exercise 5. Wall squat. The wall squat is one of the most undervalued exercises after 50, precisely because it does not move and does not feel spectacular. But that is where its power lies. When the joints are sensitive, when there is knee discomfort, or simply when the body is not suited for impact or complex movements, the wall squat offers exactly what is needed: strength without joint punishment. From a scientific standpoint, this exercise belongs to the group of isometric exercises, in which the muscle generates tension without changing length. This type of contraction has been shown to be especially effective in older adults for improving muscular endurance, tolerance to effort, and stability without increasing the risk of injury. By leaning your back against the wall and holding the position, the quadriceps, glutes, and stabilizing muscles work constantly to support the body's weight. This safely and in a controlled manner reproduces what happens when climbing stairs, walking long distances, or standing for prolonged periods of time. Studies in exercise physiology show that muscular endurance, the ability of a muscle to sustain effort over time, is one of the most important factors for functional independence, even more than maximal strength. And that is exactly what the wall squat trains. Another key point, supported by evidence, is that this exercise reduces unnecessary load on the knee when performed correctly. With the back supported, the body stays aligned, the pelvis stable, and forces are distributed more evenly among the hip, thigh, and knee. Biomechanical research has shown that isometric quadriceps exercises can reduce anterior knee pain and improve joint function in older individuals, because they strengthen the muscle without subjecting the joint to repetitive friction movements. In addition, holding the position for 20, 30, or 45 seconds improves the nervous system's tolerance to effort, something that is lost with age and sedentary behavior. It is not just muscle, it is neuromuscular adaptation. The brain learns that it can sustain load without danger, which translates into greater confidence when moving in daily life. For many people, this confidence is the difference between avoiding stairs or climbing them without thinking. The wall squat does not seek to tire you out quickly, it seeks to rebuild a solid base, day after day. Done consistently, it teaches the body to support its own weight with stability, reduces fear of movement, and creates the kind of quiet strength that you do not see in the mirror, but feel every time you stand up, walk, or hold yourself steady. After 50, that ability is not an extra, it is what defines moving with autonomy or depending on others. Exercise 6. Single leg step up. The single leg step up is one of the most transferable exercises to daily life that exists, and that is why it is so valuable after 50. It is not an artificial movement, it is exactly what you do when climbing stairs, stepping over a curb, getting onto a bus, or walking on an uneven surface. From the science of movement, this exercise combines unilateral strength, coordination, and eccentric control, three capacities that tend to deteriorate with age and that are directly related to the risk of falls. Studies in biomechanics and geriatrics show that difficulty climbing steps is one of the first indicators of functional loss in older adults. Why? Because it demands something that walking does not, generating force from a single leg to lift the entire body weight. By performing the step up slowly and with control, you force the glutes, quadriceps, and hip stabilizers to work together, while the nervous system coordinates balance and precision. This type of work improves what is called functional power, that is, the ability to produce useful force in real situations. And most importantly, it does so without impact, without jumping, and with very low risk when executed with support and appropriate height. That is why this exercise appears repeatedly in rehabilitation protocols, fall prevention programs, and strength programs for people over 50 and 60 years old. The true benefit of the step up is not only muscular, it is neuromuscular and psychological. Research in active aging shows that when older adults train movements they recognize as useful, exercise adherence increases and body confidence improves significantly. By repeating this pattern consistently, the brain relearns that it can step up, support, and control the body without danger. This reduces fear of movement, which is one of the greatest predictors of inactivity and physical decline with age. In addition, the eccentric work when stepping down strengthens the muscles responsible for braking the body, something key to preventing trips and falls. Throughout the video, real examples are shown of people over 50 and 60 years old who, using exercises like this, regained strength, reduced pain, lost measurements, and regained confidence in their bodies. They did not achieve it with extreme routines or aggressive training, but with well-designed, safe, and progressive movements, backed by science. The evidence is clear. The adult body can adapt, gain strength, and improve its function when it receives the correct stimulus. The single leg step up represents exactly that, an exercise that looks simple, but is deep in impact. It does not train for the gym, it trains for life. And after 50, that is the difference between limiting yourself or continuing to move forward with confidence. If you observe all the exercises you have just seen, heel raises, Bulgarian squats, lunges, isometric glute bridges, wall squats, and step-ups, there is a clear pattern that explains why they work after 50. They all train function, not aesthetics. They are not designed to tire out the muscle, but to give it back its real job. Each one targets a critical link that tends to fail with age: ankles that lose stability, glutes that stop activating, legs that no longer support body weight safely, and a nervous system that begins to distrust movement. The science of active aging is clear on this. Strength loss does not occur only in the muscle, it occurs in the communication between the brain and the body. That is why these exercises prioritize control, slowness, and sustained positions. They are designed to re-educate the nervous system, improve coordination, and restore stability before seeking intensity. When that base is recovered, pain decreases, balance improves, and moving stops feeling like a threat. The second key point, and the one that makes the difference between success and abandonment, is that these exercises respect the joints. There is no impact, no abrupt movements, and no unnecessary external loads. This is not accidental. Studies show that after 50, exercise adherence depends more on perceived safety than on motivation. When a person feels they can train without fear, they are consistent. And consistency, not aggressiveness, is what rebuilds real strength. In addition, these movements work in an integrated way, one leg at a time, controlling the descent, holding positions, breathing. That improves useful strength, the kind that serves to stand up, walk, climb stairs, and react to a stumble. That is why people who follow this type of training do not only gain strength, they regain confidence. Confidence in their legs, in their balance, and in their ability to move without pain. That is the true objective after 50, not to train harder, but to train better. And when training is well designed, the body responds, even years after having neglected it. If you have made it this far, you already understood something key: losing strength after 50 is not inevitable, but it is not solved by walking more or with generic routines either. The difference is made by which muscles you activate, how you activate them, and with what intention you train. The exercises you saw are not extreme, they are not dangerous, and they do not require a gym. They work because they respect the body, rebuild what is lost over the years, and give back something more important than muscle: confidence when moving. Science supports it, and real experience confirms it. Now I want to know something about you. Leave me in the comments. What is the hardest thing for you today? Climbing stairs, standing up, maintaining balance, or knee pain? I read you and respond personally. And if this content brought you value, save this video, share it with someone who needs it, like it, and subscribe, because here we do not talk about empty promises. We talk about real strength, safe movement, and quality of life after 50. Your body and your health will thank you. Thank you for watching this video and see you soon.